And as I recollect, he mentioned to me one time that he had some sort of an internal problem. And he didn't go into detail on it, but he said he was handling the internal personnel problem. He was handling it with John Moore, and that's about all he said. And that was his internal personnel problem. It was not my business because I was operational. But I would like to have known about it, and I certainly would have listened attentively had he told me, but he didn't tell me.
So you never knew then about
At that time,
the Oswald letter in definite terms,
no,
specific
I didn't
terms.
know. And he never told me. If I remember, Gordon Shanklin never told me. He later told me that Hosty was in, but he didn't connect the two. I mean, he didn't connect the two things. That Hosty was in, he had an agent by the name of Hosty. I never met Hosty. That was in some trouble with Mr. Hoover. That handling something he didn't handle in a case. But it wasn't spelled out to me. And it wasn't, I don't think it was clear even that it related to the Oswald case. But anyhow, Hoover was displeased with him and was going to transfer him. And already made up his mind to transfer him. But because Hosty was working on the Oswald case, it was obviously going to be called before the Warren Commission. So Hoover had decreed that he not be transferred out of Dallas until after he had testified before the Warren Commission, because he didn't want the Warren Commission to be raising questions, should it learn, be raising questions of why he was transferred. See? Now, that's Shanklin. Then at the Bureau, sometime after that, I heard that there was a note. No, Shanklin used the word message. He had used the word message originally when he talked to me about having received some sort of a threatening message, but he didn't go into detail of that. Then I learned at the Bureau, where the hell I learned, I don't know, whether somebody, the investigative division told me we were talking to one another regularly because they handled the criminal end of it and I handled the civil. I learned it around the office, and to my recollection, it's fairly widely known that something had gone wrong down in Dallas. And that some note or some piece of paper with a comment or something on it had been destroyed, you see. And then one or two other pieces of mail that had been misplaced they couldn't find. They're having some difficulty. But no one paid any attention to it because we were inundated with all kinds of work at that time and all kinds of rumors. Every day there was a new rumor, there was gossip, and you know, you just listen to it and went in one ear and out the other because you heard so much of it. And then we were getting all kinds of people trying to exploit us. Like we got an urgent message from this man in France who said he had 6 letters to Oswald which would throw most valuable light on the assassination, and would we meet him in a cemetery outside of Paris, and for $10,000 he'd give us the 6 letters and so on and so on. And of course you know what he turned out to be. He turned out to be a con man. But we were inundated with all these requests, and we were working night and day. So I thought no more of the darn thing. But apparently it turned out to be this particular incident. But that was way back there in the time we were conducting the investigation.
And on the phone you said that Moore, Conrad, Callahan, Walsh, Adams all knew about that note.
Yeah, no, that is a gobble. You read that in Time magazine.
Well, no, I also talked to when I talked to you a few days ago on the phone. I asked you who, and you mentioned those names.
Well, then we misunderstood each
Okay.
other. That was in Time magazine,
Mm-hmm.
and actually that was not what I said. I said that it was generally known, and it was, to my knowledge, it was generally known that something had gone wrong down in Dallas and that something had been lost or torn up or destroyed or something, and that was generally known. But I never specified those names. But I did say in my memorandum, as you'll see, that Gordon Shanklin said that he was settling this personnel problem with Mr. Moore,
Mm-hmm.
and that he didn't mention that he had spoken to anybody under Moore. And I think I mentioned in the memorandum that whereas in the investigative division, he had mentioned to me from time to time, I guess, that he spoke to different people as well as the assistant director of the investigative division, you see. Now that's pretty much what I have in the memo. But no, that is a gobble. That is wrong,
Okay.
those particular names. Now, if you want, if Moore denies this, but certainly if Shanklin and Moore discussed this matter, Moore has got to know about it. But I understand he's denied it.
I understand that, well, I think that Shanklin has said something to the effect that it never went out of Dallas.
Well, let me explain something. You cannot keep anything like that a secret in the Bureau. Internally, and not until recently, the Bureau became a sieve to the outside world. But it was always a sieve internally. A man would be disciplined, or something would go wrong, like a man used his own personal rifle and shot the wrong person down south one time, and they tried to keep that tight. You couldn't keep anything tight. We call it a grapevine, and that grapevine carried everything throughout the Bureau, and you couldn't keep anything like that tight. That I wouldn't accept at all.
Now, we were talking before, and I mentioned the fact that a fellow got a minor dent in a car,
Yeah.
a Bureau car, on Friday evening, and didn't report to the Bureau on Monday, until Monday morning. For that, he was censored or transferred. Now, how is it possible that a monumental thing, like this thing,
Yeah.
the Oswald threat letter, is destroyed, and no one
Knows about it.
That's what no one knows about, but no one is punished. Now, I believe it's now been established that Hosty told people in the office, that several people in the Dallas office knew about it.
Yeah.
As you say, it's a sieve, things
Like a
get
sieve.
around.
Sure, like a sieve.
It's obvious how the thing came out now, because someone told the publisher of the Dallas Times-Herald.
Yeah.
And yet we see that no one has been punished.
Well, I can only offer you a theory on that. If somebody got punished, then it really would go around. It really would go all over the place, you see. Because letters would be written and there'd be gossip all over the place. Might even get out to the press. And so if they wanted to hold it tight, apparently they did, that'd be a sufficient reason for not punishing anybody. But mind you now, Hosty, but I understand this wasn't the reason. Hosty did get transferred. He did get punished. But if I'm correct, it wasn't over the destruction of the note. Is that right?
I don't know why it was transferred.
I don't know why.
I don't know what reason was given.
I don't know what reason was given. I don't know what transferred. But let me explain, or rather describe another situation, and you may interpret it as you wish. After the assassination, Mr. Hoover was gravely disturbed that he would be blamed for having been inefficient or guilty of some other shortcomings, and therefore partly responsible, at least, for the assassination of President Kennedy. So immediately, he instructed that 17 people be censured for culpability in the Oswald case. Now, at the time, we thought this was a ridiculous thing to do. In the first place, these men were not guilty of any wrongdoing. In the second place,
Who were the 17? How were they selected?
well, I'll come back to that. In the second place, by punishing 17 people and in effect saying that you must share a measure of guilt for the assassination of Kennedy, Hoover himself indicted the FBI. as being partly responsible for the assassination of Kennedy. He indicted himself, although he thought by designating others he would clear himself, I presume. I presume that was his reasoning. Now, and 3 transfers, well, 2 that I'm sure of. Now, I don't know why Hosty was transferred. I'm not positive why he was transferred, but I am positive why 2 of my men were transferred. Albert Turner, who was the supervisor in charge of the desk handling the Oswald case, and Marvin Giesland, both extremely competent men, very competent men, and they got censured and transferred. Turner to Washington field office and Giesland to Detroit, where he now is. And I just want to say that in my judgment, these men were not in any way responsible for the assassination of President Kennedy, and in my judgment, I went all over their work. They handled the Oswald case in a very proper and professional manner. But nevertheless, they were busted, and their careers disrupted as a result of this.
Hosty, on April 24th, I'm not sure, April 1964, testified under oath before the Warren Commission, and part of what he said is, quote, "Prior to the assassination of the President of the United States, I had no information indicating violence on the part of Lee Harvey Oswald. I wish the record to so read."
Say that again. As of
prior to the assassination of the President of the United States, I had no information indicating violence on the part of Lee Harvey Oswald. I wish the record to so read. Unquote.
Well, they have 2 contradictory statements, right? The statement that he did have, the secretary in the Dallas office admits reading the note.
Right. Well, no, now it's well established that the FBI has acknowledged that.
They admitted it.
So here's Hosty, who has perjured himself. That is a very clear-cut case of perjury. Now, insofar as other people, the Bureau knew about it, and if in fact Mr. Moore knew about it, then presumably Mr. Hoover knew about it, he is probably doing this under orders. And if he's not doing it under orders, at least it would come to the attention of Mr. Hoover that the man has perjured himself.
And Mr. Hoover did nothing about it.
Right.
Well, do you care for an opinion of mine, for what little it's worth? Having spent 30 years in the FBI and knowing how it operates, at least to some extent, in my opinion, the key authorities, whoever they may have been in this matter, went all over Hosty's testimony before he gave it. And it was agreed upon as to the kind of testimony he was going to give. That's my opinion. That's just an opinion.
Now, who would that have been besides, well, who would have been the key executive?
Well, nobody, of course, I don't know who it was, but key men would include, of course, the special agent in charge would include the director of the FBI, would include Tolson, and it would only get to Tolson through some other key official in the Bureau, whether it be J.P. Moore or somebody else, I don't know.
I have a clip here which I want to show you, if I can find it. This is from the Dallas Morning News of April 24th, 1964. In other words, just about the time when Hosty said that. Here we go. Written by Hugh Ainsworth, April 24th, 64. FBI knew Oswald capable of act, reports indicate. A source close to the Warren Commission told the Dallas News Thursday that the Commission had testimony from Dallas police that an FBI agent told them, moments after the arrest and identification of Lee Harvey Oswald on November 22nd, that, quote, "We knew he was capable of assassinating the president, but we didn't dream he would do it," unquote.
Yes. That was given to the Dallas police, right?
Right. Now, the same afternoon, the very same day, in the Dallas Times-Herald, FBI denies statement on Oswald.
Now, may I just ask you a sort of rhetorical question? Supposing the FBI authorities, the top leaders, said, yes, we did receive this information before President Kennedy was assassinated. What do you think the reaction to that would have been? And how would the FBI have fared?